The classroom clock ticked. Tick. Taidy sat upright, her hands clasped on the desk. Teacher, who knows the answer? Raise your hand. Taidy, I do. Her small hand immediately went up. Not because she was absolutely certain, but because she knew the teacher was looking for someone. After school, the adults could hear each other hushedly. The principal said to another teacher, "This child is a good role model." Teacher, "Yes, she seems well behaved and speaks very politely." The word looks was repeated many times. Well behaved, appropriate, good child, until the word looks began to be the criterion for measuring value, without anyone asking how the child felt. At home, Mom meticulously rearranged the awards. The awards were neatly arranged, as if everything in life had to be in its proper place. You must maintain the standards. Don't let anyone gossip about you. Taidy silently observed the awards. She was proud, but also hesitant, because she wasn't sure, among all those awards, which ones were truly hers. The city of order is one that dislikes silence, but also dislikes uncontrolled noise. Everything has to be just right, perfect. Perfect in the eyes of others, more so than the feelings of the people actually there. It has to be tidy. Another person, it looks bad otherwise. The community meeting was filled with familiar phrases: image, standards, appropriateness. The adults nodded in unison and clapped in rhythm, as if everyone had rehearsed. But no one talked about the people actually on the ground. One adult spoke on stage. "We need to make our city livable in the eyes of outsiders." The audience, "I agree." Taidy sat in the front row, listening. She saw the adults nodding, clapping in rhythm, as if everyone had rehearsed. She asked her father softly, "If it's only enjoyable when there's an audience, what about other times?" Her father chuckled softly. "Don't think too much about it, child. But some questions, the more they are laughed at, don't go away. They sit quietly, waiting for the day to grow in someone's ear." After the city festival ended, the laughter and applause gradually faded, leaving only an empty stage. Taidy sat alone beside the stage, where no one could see her, and where she had nothing to perform. Taidy, why is it so quiet? An old man sat beside her. He wasn't wearing a fancy shirt. He didn't have a name tag, but his voice was calm and warm. His words weren't loud, yet they were clearer than all the speeches on stage. Old man, you did a great job today. What job? The job of making adults feel comfortable. The old man took out a blue ribbon. Old man, people usually work in two ways. The first way is because they believe in something. The second way is because they are afraid of being different from others. He gently tied it around her. Old man, if you ever feel confused, ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Taidy didn't answer, but her heart was beating strangely fast. It was as if someone had just opened a small door in the heart of an 8-year-old girl. The Good Deeds Week activities have begun. Every classroom has to present their work. The classroom is filled with the sounds of ideas, loud and fast-paced. Ideas that have to look good, ideas that can be explained in seconds. A friend excitedly says, "Let's make a big sign and post pictures on the school website." Another says, "We need a sponsor to make it look more serious." Taidy's suggestion is so soft it almost fades into the background noise. Taidy, should we help the old man who collects trash behind the school? He does it all alone every day. The classroom fell silent for a moment. Not a silence of thinking, but a silence of judgment, before one voice said, It's not that impressive. In the end, everyone chose the path that seemed more appealing, and Taidy chose the path no one else chose. The area behind the school was quieter than expected. The uncle looked up at the little girl. "Uncle, you didn't have to come, you know. No one saw." "Taidy, I saw." The uncle smiled. It was his smile, not needing a camera, not needing applause. It was the smile of someone who knew that, at least, this act of kindness was actually seen by two people. The awards day arrived. Names were called one by one. Applause rose and fell, but Taidy's name was never called. A whisper lingered in the air, soft but clear, enough for the girl to understand that some good deeds were not included in the list. A voice in the room, "There aren't many tangible achievements this year." Another voice, "It's been unusually quiet." There was no applause backstage, only an explanation that sounded reasonable but didn't lighten the burden. "Teacher, I know you meant well, teacher, but the real world demands expression." Taidy nodded politely, though inwardly she began to question whether the real world was too big for silent intentions. That night, Mom spoke sternly. "Mom, why don't you think about the future?" Taidy replied softly, "I'm thinking about the present." There was no argument that night, no shouting, only a quiet silence slowly spread. For the first time, the silence in the house was heavier than a reprimand. And for the first time, Taidy realized that choosing her own path might mean having no one walking beside her as before. Taidy stopped raising her hand, not because she didn't know the answer, but because she was beginning to realize that some answers had already been pre-selected. She listened more than she spoke, and the more she listened, the louder the questions in her mind became. "Teacher, are you not interested anymore?" "Taidy, I'm just not sure which answer you want." At the town meeting, the same girl raised her hand again, not for a favorable answer, but for a sincere question. A small question, but loud enough to silence the entire room. "Taidy, if doing good doesn't make the town look good, will we still do it?" One adult. The whole room fell silent. The adults exchanged glances, but no one wanted to be the first to answer. Some questions don't require an immediate answer. They require courage to admit that we may not be as honest with the meaning of goodness as we realize.
Some children start doing small things without asking permission, without asking for photos, without waiting for praise. Kindness begins to happen where there's no stage, and it happens quietly. One child, "Can we do this?" Taidy, "Of course, nobody's stopping us." It's hard to control. Another, "Without a system, people will think too much on their own." The adults began to worry, not because the city was getting worse, but because it was becoming unpredictable. When people started thinking for themselves, the once beautiful system began to show small cracks. The city is changing, not becoming prettier, but becoming more real. And the truth is never perfect. It has stains, questions, and it's alive, like a city learning to grow, alongside a little girl. Taidy, "It might not be pretty, but I think it's real."
One day, someone asked Taidy a question in a serious tone. It wasn't a question from a stage, but a question from the heart of an adult who once believed that standing out was the only answer in life. The adult, "Aren't you afraid of not standing out?" Taidy clutched the blue ribbon tightly. "I'm more afraid of living my life to please others." Taidy, "But feeling unhappy myself." It wasn't a reward, it wasn't a mark of victory, but it reminded her that some answers don't need to be announced. Just being true to herself is enough. The city remains orderly, but it's choosing a path. to continue on to maintain a positive image, or to stop and think and ask themselves if it's truly the right path. Like everyone listening, who isn't just listening to a story, but is holding the same question in their hearts. Taidy, I think we have a choice. Conclusion. When we work solely for the sake of image, problems will recur because we never address the root cause.